I stared at the number on the hospital bill until the digits blurred together. $37,000. The words, "Final Notice," were stamped in red across the top like a death sentence. I folded the paper in half, then in half again, as if making it smaller would make it less real. It didn't work. The apartment was silent except for the hum of the refrigerator. I'd left my phone on the counter, screen dark. 3 missed calls from the hospital billing department. I hadn't listened to the voicemails. I didn't need to. I already knew what they'd say. Your mother has 2 weeks, maybe 3. Not because of the cancer, because of the money. I pressed my palms against the counter and closed my eyes. My shift at the restaurant started in 40 minutes. After that, I had 4 hours at the grocery store, then another overnight cleaning office buildings until 6 in the morning. 3 jobs, 7 days a week. And still, it wasn't enough. It would never be enough. I was 24 years old, and I'd already stopped believing in miracles. The restaurant was busy that night. Weekend crowd, couples celebrating anniversaries, families with loud children, everyone smiling like the world was kind. I moved through the tables on autopilot, took orders, delivered plates, smiled when I was supposed to. My feet ached, my back ached, everything ached. Table 12 needs attention, my manager said as he passed me in the kitchen. Private party, VIP. I grabbed a water pitcher and headed toward the back corner. Table 12 was separated from the rest of the dining room by a partial wall. Quieter, more exclusive. A man sat alone, dark suit, expensive, the kind that didn't come off a rack. His hands rested on the table, fingers loosely interlaced. No wedding ring, no watch, nothing that drew attention. But I noticed him anyway, because he was looking at me. Not the way men usually looked, not with interest or hunger or boredom. He looked at me like he was reading something written on my skin, something I didn't even know was there. I approached the table, forcing my voice to stay steady. "Good evening. Can I get you something to drink?" "Water is fine." His voice was low, calm, the kind of voice that didn't need to be loud to be heard. I poured the water, careful not to let my hands shake. "Are you ready to order, or do you need a few more minutes?" "I'm not here for the food." I looked up. His eyes were dark, almost black in the dim light. They didn't waver, didn't blink. "Then, can I help you with something else?" "You work 3 jobs," he said. My pulse stuttered. "Excuse me?" "You're here 5 nights a week, grocery store on Maple Street, cleaning service that starts at 2 in the morning?" He tilted his head slightly. "You're exhausted." I took a step back. "I don't know who you think you are, but your mother is at St. Catherine's Hospital. Stage 4. The treatment she needs isn't covered by her insurance." The water pitcher nearly slipped from my hand. "You've been trying to raise the money for 6 months?" He continued, voice still calm, still steady. "You're 37,000 short. The hospital gave you 2 weeks." I couldn't breathe, couldn't move. "How do you know that?" He didn't answer, just watched me, waiting. "Who are you?" "Someone who can help." I shook my head, trying to clear the fog in my brain. "I don't understand. Why would you?" "You don't need to understand. You just need to decide." "Decide what?" He reached into his jacket and pulled out a small white card, placed it on the table between us. No name, no title, just a phone number printed in black ink. "Call me when you're ready," he said. "Ready for what?" He stood, tall, taller than I'd expected. He buttoned his jacket with slow, deliberate movements. To save her. Then he walked past me, footsteps silent on the tile floor, and disappeared into the crowd. I stood there for a long time, staring at the card, at the number that might as well have been written in fire. My manager's voice cut through the noise. "Table 12 leaving already?" I didn't answer. I picked up the card, slipped it into my apron pocket. My hands were still shaking. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat on the edge of my bed, staring at the card in my hand. The number stared back. Who was he? How did he know so much? And why? Why would a stranger offer to help? People didn't do that, not without wanting something in return. But my mother was dying, and I was out of options. At 3 in the morning, I made the call. It rang once, twice. Then his voice, smooth and unhurried. I was wondering if you'd wait until morning. I swallowed hard. You said you could help. I can. Why? Silence, not uncomfortable, just deliberate. Does it matter? He finally asked. Yes. Then let's say I see potential in you. Potential for what? Loyalty. The word hung in the air between us, heavy, binding. I don't even know your name, I said. You will. My heart pounded. This was insane. I should hang up, block the number, pretend this never happened. But I didn't, because hope, even dangerous hope, was better than none. What do you want from me? I asked, voice barely a whisper. Your time, your presence, your trust. That's not an answer. It's the only one you'll get tonight. I closed my eyes, thought of my mother, her pale face, her tired smile, the way she told me not to worry even as the pain tore through her. If I say yes, I said slowly, you'll pay for her treatment, all of it? Every cent, immediately. And if I say no, then you go back to working yourself to death, and she dies anyway. Brutal, honest, true. I hated him for saying it, and I hated myself for knowing he was right. What do I have to do? I asked. Move into my estate, work for me, stay loyal. What kind of work? You'll know when you arrive. My chest tightened. That's not enough. I need to know what I'm agreeing to. No, he said, voice dropping lower. You need to decide if saving her is worth the risk. Silence. I thought about my mother's laugh, the way she used to braid my hair, the way she fought even when her body begged her to stop. I thought about the empty bank account, the unopened bills, the weight of failure pressing down on my chest every single day. And I thought about the man in the dark suit, the way he looked at me, like he already knew my answer. Okay, I whispered, say it clearly. I took a breath. Yes, I agree. Good. A car will pick you up tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock. Be ready. Wait. But the line was already dead. I sat there in the dark, phone still pressed to my ear, and wondered what I'd just done. Outside, the city hummed, indifferent, endless, and somewhere in the shadows, a man I didn't know held my life in his hands. I didn't sleep that night. I just waited. For morning, for the car, for whatever came next. Because I'd made my choice, and there was no going back. The sun wasn't up yet when I started packing. Not that I had much to pack. 2 suitcases, 1 duffel bag. Everything I owned fit into 3 pieces of luggage, and even then, they weren't full. I folded my clothes mechanically. Jeans, t-shirts, the one dress I kept for job interviews I never got. My hands moved, but my mind was somewhere else. What had I agreed to? I kept replaying the phone call. His voice, calm, certain, like he'd never doubted I'd say yes. And maybe he hadn't. Maybe he knew exactly how desperate I was, how far I'd go. I zipped the last suitcase closed and sat on the edge of my bed. The apartment was silent, too silent. I'd gotten used to the noise of the city. Sirens, traffic, voices through thin walls. Now it felt like the world was holding its breath. My phone buzzed. 7:55. A text from an unknown number. We're outside. I looked around the apartment one last time. Peeling paint, cracked tile, a kitchen so small I could touch both walls at once. I'd lived here for 3 years, hated every minute of it, and now I was leaving. I grabbed my bags and walked out without looking back. The car was exactly where he said it would be. Black, sleek, windows so dark I couldn't see inside. A man in a gray suit stood beside the back door. He didn't smile, didn't speak, Just opened the door and waited. I hesitated. This was it. The moment I could still turn around, still say no. But I thought of my mother, pale, fragile, fading. I got in the car. The door closed behind me with a soft click. The interior smelled like leather and something faintly metallic. The seats were cold. The driver didn't turn around, didn't acknowledge me, just started the engine and pulled into traffic. I tried to look out the window, but the tint was too dark. Everything outside was shadowed, blurred, like I was already disappearing. We drove for over an hour, out of the city, past suburbs, into countryside I didn't recognize. The roads got narrower, quieter. Trees closed in on either side like walls. Finally, we turned onto a private drive. Tall iron gates swung open as we approached. No guard booth, no intercom, just cameras, everywhere. The estate appeared through the trees like something out of a dream or a nightmare. Massive, stone, cold. The car stopped in front of the entrance. The driver got out and opened my door. I stepped onto the gravel, legs unsteady. The air was different here, cleaner, quieter, like the world outside didn't exist. The front door opened before I could knock. A woman stood in the doorway, older, 50s maybe, dressed in black. Her expression was neutral, professional. "Miss Carter," she said, not a question, a statement. I nodded. "I'm Elena. I manage the household. Come with me." She turned and walked inside without waiting to see if I followed. I did. The entrance hall was enormous. Marble floors, high ceilings, a chandelier that probably cost more than my entire life. Everything was perfect, spotless, cold, like a museum or a trap. Elena led me up a wide staircase. Our footsteps echoed. She didn't speak, didn't look back. We stopped in front of a door at the end of a long hallway. "This is your room," Elena said. "Bathroom is through that door. Closet on the left. If you need anything, there's a phone on the nightstand. Dial 0. She opened the door and stepped aside. The room was bigger than my entire apartment. King-sized bed, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking gardens I couldn't fully see in the dim morning light. Everything was white, clean, empty. "Someone will bring your bags up shortly," Elena continued. "Dinner is at 7. You're expected to attend." Expected by who? Her expression didn't change. "Don't ask questions you're not ready to hear answers to." Then she left. I stood in the doorway, heart pounding. What had I just walked into? I spent the rest of the day exploring the room, opening drawers, checking closets, looking for anything that might tell me who lived here. There was nothing, no photographs, no personal items, just expensive furniture and empty space. My bags arrived around noon, delivered by a man who didn't make eye contact. I unpacked slowly, hung my cheap clothes in a closet designed for designer gowns, put my worn sneakers next to built-in shoe racks that could hold 50 pairs. Everything I owned looked wrong here. I looked wrong here. At 6:30, I changed into the cleanest shirt I had and made my way downstairs. The house was a maze, long hallways, identical doors. I got lost twice before I found the dining room. It was empty. A long table, 12 chairs, place settings at either end. I sat down in the chair closest to the door, hands folded in my lap, and I waited. 7 o'clock came, then 7:15. The food arrived at 7:30. Servers in crisp uniforms placed dish after dish on the table. They didn't speak, didn't look at me. Then they left. I stared at the food, wondered if I was supposed to eat alone. Then I heard footsteps. He appeared in the doorway, the man from the restaurant. Still in a dark suit, still unreadable. He looked at me, then at the empty chair at the far end of the table. "You sat in the wrong seat," he said. I stood quickly. I didn't know. "Sit," I sat. He walked to the other end of the table and lowered himself into the chair with controlled grace. The distance between us felt intentional, calculated. "You didn't eat," he observed. I was waiting. For what? I don't know. Permission? Something flickered in his eyes. Amusement, maybe, or disappointment. You don't need permission to eat. He picked up his fork. You need permission to leave. My stomach dropped. He took a bite, chewed slowly, watching me the entire time. Your mother's surgery is scheduled for tomorrow morning, he said. 9 o'clock. St. Catherine's has already been paid in full, including the experimental treatment her oncologist recommended. Relief hit me so hard I almost couldn't breathe. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. Why not? Because you don't know what you owe me. I set down my fork. Then tell me. He leaned back in his chair, studied me like I was a puzzle he was trying to solve. Your role here is simple, he said. You'll manage my schedule, organize meetings, handle correspondence, stay close when I need you. That's it? That's it. So I'm your assistant. No. His voice dropped lower, darker. Your insurance. Insurance against what? He didn't answer. Instead, he stood, buttoned his jacket. Eat, rest. Tomorrow, your real work begins. He walked toward the door, stopped, turned back. One more thing. What? You can't leave the estate without my permission. You can't make phone calls without my knowledge, and you can't ask questions about what happens in this house. My chest tightened. You're saying I'm a prisoner? I'm saying you're protected. His eyes locked onto mine. There's a difference. What if I don't agree? You already did. Then he was gone. I sat there, alone, in that massive dining room, surrounded by food I couldn't taste and silence I couldn't break. And I realized something that made my blood run cold. I didn't just accept help. I accepted him. Every condition, every rule, every unspoken expectation. I'd sold my freedom for my mother's life, and I couldn't even tell if I'd made the right choice. Outside, the night pressed against the windows, dark, endless, and somewhere in this house, a man I didn't know held every piece of my future in his hands. I picked up my fork and I ate because if I was going to survive this, I needed my strength. Whatever came next, I'd face it. I didn't have any other choice. I woke to sunlight streaming through windows I'd forgotten to cover. For a moment, I didn't know where I was. The ceiling was too high, the bed too soft, everything too quiet. Then I remembered. The estate, the man, the deal I'd made. I sat up, heart already racing. What time was it? My mother's surgery was at 9. The clock on the nightstand read 7:42. I threw off the covers and rushed to the bathroom, splashed cold water on my face, stared at my reflection in a mirror so clean it looked like it had never been used. Dark circles under my eyes, pale skin, hair that hadn't been cut in months. I looked exactly like what I was, someone who didn't belong here. I dressed quickly, jeans, a gray sweater, the only clean clothes I had left. When I opened the bedroom door, Elena was standing in the hallway. I jumped. I didn't hear you. You weren't supposed to. She held out a phone, small, black. This is yours now. It only calls approved numbers. Hospital, emergency services, the main house line. I took it. The screen was blank. No apps, no contacts except the 3 she'd mentioned. Can I call my mother? After her surgery, when she's awake. Elena's expression didn't change. The car is waiting. You have 10 minutes. Wait, I'm going to the hospital? He said you'd want to be there. Relief flooded through me. Thank you. Elena turned to leave, then paused. Miss Carter. Yes. Don't try to run. There are people watching. Always. Then she disappeared down the hallway. I stood there, phone heavy in my hand, and wondered if that was a warning or advice. The drive back to the city felt longer than yesterday. Maybe because I was awake this time, aware. I watched the trees thin out, watched buildings appear on the horizon, watched the world I knew come back into view, but I wasn't part of it anymore. The car pulled up to St. Catherine's main entrance. The driver didn't speak, just waited for me to get out. Inside, the hospital smelled like antiseptic and fear. I'd been here so many times, I knew every hallway, every elevator, every nurse by name. But today was different. A woman in a crisp suit was waiting by the reception desk. "Miss Carter?" I nodded. "I'm Dr. Reyes. Your mother's surgical team is ready. She's being prepped now." "Can I see her?" "Of course. Follow me." She led me through corridors I'd never been allowed in before, past private rooms with closed doors, past equipment that looked like it belonged in a laboratory, not a hospital. We stopped outside a pre-op room. "5 minutes," Dr. Reyes said. My mother was lying on a gurney, already drowsy from the pre-anesthesia, but when she saw me, she smiled. "Baby." I took her hand. "Hey, Mom. You look tired." "I'm fine." "Liar." She squeezed my fingers weakly. "Where were you last night?" I called. I I got a new job. It came with housing." "Housing?" She frowned. "What kind of job?" "Personal assistant for a businessman. He needed someone right away." It wasn't exactly a lie, just not the whole truth. "That's good." Her eyes were already closing. "That's really good, honey." "Mom." My throat tightened. "They're going to take care of you. The best doctors, the best treatment, everything you need. How can we afford? Don't worry about that. Just focus on getting better." She looked at me for a long moment. Even through the medication, I saw the question in her eyes. "What did you do?" But she didn't ask. Maybe she didn't want to know. A nurse appeared in the doorway. "It's time." I kissed my mother's forehead. "I love you." "Love you too, baby. So much." They wheeled her away, and I stood there alone, watching her disappear through double doors I couldn't follow her through. Dr. Reyes touched my arm gently. "The surgery will take 4 to 6 hours. There's a private waiting room upstairs, 3rd floor. Someone will update you regularly." "Thank you." She hesitated. "Your mother is very lucky. This treatment protocol isn't available to most patients. The cost alone, I know. Whoever arranged this must care about you very much." I didn't know how to respond to that, because I wasn't sure it was true. The private waiting room was nothing like the crowded public spaces I'd spent months in. Comfortable chairs, coffee that didn't taste like cardboard, windows that actually opened. I was the only one there. I tried to sit, couldn't. Paced instead. 4 hours, maybe 6. I checked my phone. 8 messages on the old number I wasn't supposed to have anymore. 3 from my former manager at the restaurant, 2 from the grocery store, 1 from my landlord, all asking where I was. I deleted them without responding. That life was over. At noon, a nurse brought me lunch. Sandwich, soup, food I didn't want but forced myself to eat. At 2, Dr. Reyes appeared, still in surgical scrubs. We continued to the East Wing. She opened a door I hadn't noticed before. Inside was an office, smaller than Vincent's study, but still impressive. Desk, computer, filing cabinets, a window overlooking the gardens. "This is yours," Elena said. "You'll spend most of your time here. Phone calls come through that line, emails to that address. Everything is monitored." "By who?" "By people who need to know you're doing your job." She set a laptop on the desk, opened it. The screen showed multiple calendar views, color-coded, July packed with appointments. "Vincent has a meeting at 8, downtown office. The car leaves at 7:30. You'll go with him." My stomach dropped. "I will?" "He wants you present, to observe." She pulled out a drawer. Inside were phones, at least a dozen. "He changes phones frequently. Your job is to track which one he's using. Transfer contacts, delete old messages." "Why would he—" "Don't ask questions you already know the answer to." She closed the drawer. "There are people who will come to this house," she continued. "Some you'll meet, most you won't. When Vincent has private meetings, you make yourself scarce. When he needs you, you appear. Fast." "How will I know when he needs me?" She tapped the phone in my pocket. "He'll let you know." The phone buzzed immediately. I pulled it out, a message from an unknown number. 7:15, front entrance. Elena almost smiled. That's him. The next 2 hours were a blur. Vincent appeared at 7:15 exactly. Same dark suit, same unreadable expression. He looked at me once, nodded, got in the car. I climbed in after him. The driver pulled away from the estate. Vincent opened his own laptop, started typing, didn't acknowledge my presence. I sat in silence, watching the countryside give way to suburbs, then city. Finally, he spoke. The meeting this morning is with potential partners, international investors. You'll sit in the back of the room, say nothing, take notes if you want, but mostly just observe. Observe what? Body language, who speaks first, who defers to whom. He didn't look up from his screen. Learn how power moves in a room? Why do I need to know that? Because eventually you'll need to recognize when I'm in danger. The words hung in the air, heavy, undeniable. You think someone at this meeting might... I think everyone is dangerous until they prove otherwise. The car pulled up to a high-rise downtown. Glass, steel, anonymous. Vincent closed his laptop, looked at me directly for the first time that morning. Stay close, stay quiet, and if I tell you to leave, you leave immediately. Okay. Not okay, essential. His voice dropped lower. Do you understand? Yes. We got out of the car. The meeting took place on the 40th floor, a conference room with floor-to-ceiling windows. The city spread out beneath us like a game board. 6 men were already seated when we entered. They stood, shook Vincent's hand, greeted him with a mix of respect and caution. No one acknowledged me. I took a seat against the back wall, opened the leather folder, pretended to review documents, but I was watching. The meeting was in English, mostly, but phrases in other languages slipped through. Italian, Russian, something else I didn't recognize. They discussed numbers, territories, logistics, all business terms on the surface. But underneath, I heard something else. Threat, negotiation, control. Vincent spoke the least, but when he did, everyone listened. One man, older, gray hair, expensive watch, kept pushing, asking for more, better terms, larger percentage. Vincent's expression never changed. No. Be reasonable, the man said. We're offering you access to markets you can't reach alone. I don't need access, I already have it. Not without significant risk. I'm comfortable with risk. The man leaned forward. Are you comfortable with consequences? The room went silent. Vincent tilted his head slightly. Are you threatening me? I'm clarifying the situation. Then let me clarify mine. Vincent's voice didn't rise, didn't sharpen, but it cut through the air like a blade. I don't respond to pressure. I don't negotiate from weakness, and I certainly don't tolerate threats in my own city. The older man's jaw tightened. Another man at the table cleared his throat. Perhaps we should take a break. Reconvene in 30 minutes. Vincent stood. Take all the time you need. He walked toward the door. I scrambled to follow. In the hallway, he kept walking. Fast, deliberate. What just happened? I asked. They tried to push. I pushed back. It seemed like more than that. He stopped, turned to face me. What did you observe? I thought back. The older man, he was testing you, seeing if you'd bend. Good, what else? The younger one, dark suit, he didn't speak, but he was watching you the whole time. His name is Constantine, he's the real decision maker. The old man is just noise. So the meeting was? Theater, yes. He started walking again. They wanted to see if I'd show weakness. I didn't. We took the elevator down in silence. Outside, the car was waiting. Vincent got in. I followed. You did well in there, he said. I didn't do anything. Exactly. You stayed quiet, watched, learned. He looked out the window. Most people can't resist the urge to speak, to prove they belong in the room. You didn't. Is that what you want? For me to stay silent? I want you to know when to speak and when to listen. There's power in both. The rest of the day followed the same pattern, another meeting. This one in a restaurant, private room, different men, same dance. Then back to the estate, where I spent hours in my new office organizing files I barely understood. Emails in coded language, appointments with people who had no last names. Vincent appeared once, dropped a stack of papers on my desk. Sort these by priority. How do I know what's priority? You'll figure it out. Then he was gone. I worked until my eyes blurred, until the words stopped making sense. At 9, I finally left the office. The house was dark, quiet. I made my way back to my room, exhausted, overwhelmed, and that's when I saw him. Vincent, coming down the hallway from the opposite direction. He'd changed clothes, black shirt, no jacket. His sleeves were rolled up, and there was blood on his right cuff. Not a lot, just enough to notice. I froze. He saw me seeing it. For a moment, neither of us moved. Then he kept walking, came closer. I should have looked away, should have pretended I hadn't seen, but I couldn't. He stopped in front of me, close enough that I had to tilt my head back to meet his eyes. You have a question, he said, not asking, stating. No. Liar. My heart pounded. It's not my business. But you want it to be. I didn't answer. He looked at me for a long moment, reading something in my face I didn't know was there. You're safe here, he said quietly. You keep saying that. Because it's true. Even if you're the danger? Something flickered in his expression, not anger, something else. Especially then. He walked past me, down the hallway, disappeared around a corner. I stood there, heart racing, hands shaking, blood on his cuff. You're safe here. Two truths that shouldn't exist together, but somehow did. I went to my room, changed, lay in bed, but I couldn't sleep because I'd seen something tonight. Something Vincent hadn't tried to hide. He was exactly what I'd suspected, what I'd feared, dangerous, violent, operating in a world with rules I didn't understand. And I was part of it now. Not by choice, not really, but here nonetheless. The phone on my nightstand buzzed, a message from Vincent. You did well today. Get some rest. I stared at the words, simple, almost kind. But underneath, I heard what he wasn't saying. Welcome to my world. Learn fast or don't survive. I set the phone down, closed my eyes, and tried not to think about the blood on his cuff, about what it meant, about what kind of man I'd agreed to serve. Outside, the estate was silent, but I knew better now. Silence didn't mean peace, it just meant the danger was waiting, and I was right in the middle of it. 3 weeks passed in a blur of meetings, phone calls, and silence. I learned the rhythms of Vincent's world. Early mornings, late nights, conversations that meant something other than the words being spoken. I learned which calls to put through immediately, which emails required responses within the hour, which appointments could be moved and which were carved in stone. I learned to read the tension in his shoulders, the slight tightening around his eyes that meant someone had pushed too far. And I learned not to ask questions, but Vincent started asking them instead. It began one evening in my office. I was reorganizing files when he appeared in the doorway. No warning, just suddenly there. How's your mother? He asked. I looked up, surprised. He rarely mentioned her. Good. The treatment is working. She's getting stronger. When did you last see her? 2 days ago. He nodded, leaned against the doorframe. You visit every Tuesday and Thursday. It wasn't a question. He already knew. The hospital is only 20 minutes away, I said carefully. It doesn't interfere with work. I didn't say it did. He watched me with those dark, unreadable eyes. Does she ask about where you're living? Sometimes. What do you tell her? That I work. For a businessman. That the job came with housing. That I'm fine. Are you lying? The question caught me off guard. About what? Being fine. I set down the file I was holding. Why are you asking? Because you look tired. I'm always tired. Not like this. He pushed off the doorframe, came closer. You're not sleeping. How would you know? Because I'm not sleeping either. The admission hung between us, unexpected, almost vulnerable. Why not? I asked before I could stop myself. He didn't answer immediately, just looked at me like he was deciding how much truth to give. Old habits, he finally said. In my line of work, sleep is a luxury, and luxuries are dangerous. What line of work is that exactly? A small smile, not quite reaching his eyes. The kind where questions get people hurt. You keep saying I'm safe here. You are. Then why can't you sleep? The smile faded. Because keeping you safe requires me to stay awake. He left before I could respond, but something had shifted. Some invisible wall between us had developed a crack. The next morning, he brought me coffee. Not from the kitchen, from a cafe in the city. My exact order. Oat milk, extra shot, no sugar. I stared at the cup. How did you know how I take my coffee? I pay attention. To what? Everything. He set a pastry beside the coffee. Walked out without another word. I sat there, staring at the breakfast I hadn't asked for. From a man who supposedly didn't do kindness. But this felt like kindness. Or something close to it. That evening, he found me in the library. I'd discovered it by accident the week before. Floor-to-ceiling shelves, leather chairs, a fireplace that actually worked. It was the only room in the house that felt lived in. You like to read, Vincent said from the doorway. I looked up from the book in my lap. Is that a problem? No. He walked in, scanned the shelves. What are you reading? I showed him the cover. Classic literature. Something I'd found on the shelf. You prefer fiction, he observed. How do you know? Because reality is exhausting enough. I almost smiled. Is that why you don't read fiction? I read history, strategy, things that teach me how people think. That sounds exhausting too. It is. He pulled a book from the shelf, examined it, put it back. But necessary. Why? He looked at me then, really looked, like he was trying to decide something. Can I ask you a question? He said. You've been asking me questions all week. A different kind of question. My pulse quickened. Okay. Why do you stay? I blinked. What? You could leave. Your mother's treatment is paid for. The hospital won't stop caring for her. You've fulfilled your end of the agreement. He moved closer. So why are you still here? Because you told me I couldn't leave without permission. I'm giving you permission, right now. Walk out that door, go back to your life. My throat tightened. I don't have a life to go back to. Then build a new one, somewhere far from here, somewhere safe. You keep saying I'm safe here. Safe from external threats. Yes. His voice dropped lower, but not safe from me. The words should have scared me, should have sent me running, but they didn't. What are you trying to tell me? I asked quietly. He stood so close now I could feel the heat radiating from him, could smell the faint scent of his cologne, cedar and something darker. I'm trying to tell you to leave, he said, before you get too close to understand what I really am. I already know what you are. Do you? You're dangerous. You operate outside the law. You make decisions that hurt people. I held his gaze. But you also saved my mother's life. You gave me a place to stay when I had nowhere to go. You ask me how I'm sleeping. That doesn't make me good. I never said it did. Silence stretched between us, heavy, charged. You should be afraid of me, he said softly. I was, at first. And now? Now I'm more afraid of what happens if I leave. Something flickered in his eyes, something raw and unguarded. Why? He asked. Because you're the only person who sees me, I thought. Because in a house full of people, you're the only one who notices when I'm tired, when I'm worried, when I'm pretending to be fine. But I couldn't say that, couldn't admit it out loud. So I said nothing. He reached out slowly, gave me time to pull away. I didn't. His fingers brushed my cheek, gentle, almost hesitant. "You're making this harder than it needs to be," he murmured. "Making what harder?" "Keeping my distance." My breath caught. "Why do you need to keep your distance?" "Because if I don't, I'll want things I have no right to want." "Like what?" He stepped back, dropped his hand. "Good night," he said. Then he was gone, leaving me alone in the library with a racing heart and questions I didn't dare ask out loud. The next few days were torture. Vincent was different, still professional, still controlled, but there was something new underneath. Awareness. He'd look at me across a room and I'd feel it, like electricity in the air before a storm. He'd stand too close when reviewing documents. His arm would brush mine. His voice would drop lower when speaking to me, and I'd forget how to breathe. It was Elena who finally said something. "Be careful," she warned one afternoon. We were alone in the kitchen. She was preparing dinner. I was making tea. "Careful of what?" I asked. "Him." She didn't look up from the vegetables she was chopping. "He's not like other men." "I know that." "Do you? Because the way you look at him suggests otherwise." My face heated. "I don't." "Yes, you do." She set down the knife, met my eyes. "And he looks at you the same way." That's not. I've worked for him for 12 years. I've seen women come through this house. Beautiful women, powerful women, women who would do anything to get his attention. She wiped her hands on a towel. "He never looked at any of them the way he looks at you." "Why are you telling me this?" "Because caring about him is dangerous. Not because he'll hurt you, but because the world he lives in will." "I don't care about him," I said. The lie tasted bitter. Elena just looked at me, said nothing, because we both knew the truth. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about what Elena had said, about the way Vincent looked at me, about the softness in his voice when he asked if I was okay, about the blood on his cuff and the darkness in his world, about how I should be terrified, but wasn't. At 2 a.m, I gave up on sleep, wrapped myself in a robe and went downstairs. The house was dark, silent. I found my way to the gardens, French doors that opened onto a stone patio. Beyond that, careful landscaping, trees, flowers, a fountain in the distance. The air was cool, clean. I sat on the edge of the patio, pulled my knees to my chest, and tried to figure out what I was doing, why I was still here, why I hadn't left when he'd given me permission, why the thought of leaving made my chest ache. "Can't sleep?" I jumped, spun around. Vincent stood in the doorway, dressed in dark pants and a t-shirt, hair slightly messy, more human than I'd ever seen him. "I didn't hear you," I said. "I know." He came outside, sat beside me on the patio edge. Not too close, but close enough. The gardens help sometimes when the house feels too small. Does it feel too small often? More than I'd like. We sat in silence. The fountain murmured in the distance. Night insects sang. "Can I tell you something?" he asked quietly. "Yes." "I lost my mother when I was 15, cancer, same as yours." I turned to look at him. His profile in the moonlight, strong, sad. "I'm sorry," I said. "We didn't have money, couldn't afford treatment, couldn't even afford to make her comfortable at the end." He stared straight ahead. I watched her die slowly, in pain, knowing I couldn't help. "Vincent," I swore then that I'd never be powerless again, that I'd build something, control something, have enough resources to protect the people I cared about. He finally looked at me. "That's why I did this, why I chose this life. To save people, to never feel helpless again." Understanding hit me. "That's why you helped my mother." "Yes, because you saw yourself in me." I saw someone fighting, someone who wouldn't give up, Someone who loved fiercely enough to sacrifice everything. His voice softened, and I remembered what that felt like. Tears burned my eyes. Thank you for telling me. I needed you to understand. This world I'm in, it's not because I'm evil, it's because I was desperate. And desperation makes you do things you never thought you'd do. I understand that better than you think. I know. He reached out, took my hand. That's why this is so dangerous. What is? This, you and me, whatever this is becoming. My heart pounded. What is it becoming? He looked down at our joined hands. His thumb traced circles on my palm. Gentle, deliberate. Something I don't know how to protect, he said quietly. Maybe you don't need to protect it. Maybe you just need to let it exist. He met my eyes. And for the first time, I saw past everything. Past the control, past the danger, past the walls he'd built. I saw a man who was tired, who carried weight no one else could see, who'd traded pieces of his soul for power and was wondering if it had been worth it. You should go back inside, he said, but he didn't let go of my hand. So should you. I will, soon. But neither of us moved. We just sat there, in the dark, in the quiet, holding hands like it was the most natural thing in the world. And maybe it was. Maybe this, whatever this was, had been inevitable from the moment he walked into that restaurant, from the moment I said yes, from the moment I stopped running and started staying. I'm not afraid of you, I whispered. You should be. I'm afraid of how you make me feel. His hand tightened on mine. How do I make you feel? Like I'm not alone anymore. He inhaled sharply, didn't respond, just held my hand tighter, and we stayed there until the sun started to rise, until the world woke up and demanded we be who we were supposed to be. But for those few hours, we were just two people who understood what it meant to fight for something, who knew the cost of survival, who'd found each other in the darkness. And maybe, just maybe, we're starting to find something that looked like light. I noticed the changes before Vincent told me anything. More security at the gates, cameras I hadn't seen before, men in dark suits patrolling the grounds at odd hours, and the way Vincent's jaw tightened when his phone rang. The way he'd step out of the room mid-conversation. The way he'd come back with shadows in his eyes. Something was wrong. It was Elena who confirmed it. There's a man outside, she said one morning, casual, like she was commenting on the weather. He'll be with you whenever you leave the estate. I looked up from my coffee. What? Protection, standard protocol. Protection from what? She didn't answer, just refilled my cup and walked away. The man's name was Marcus. Tall, broad shoulders, expressionless. He drove me to the hospital that afternoon, waited in the parking lot, followed me inside at a distance. When I came back out, he was leaning against the car, scanning the area like he was expecting something or someone. Is there a problem? I asked. No, ma'am. Then why are you here? I'm here to make sure there isn't a problem. We drove back in silence, but I felt it, the tension, the weight of something unspoken. That night, I found Vincent in his study. Door open, unusual, he was on the phone, speaking in rapid Italian, his voice sharp, cold. I started to leave, give him privacy, but then I heard it. My name, mixed in with words I didn't understand. I froze. Vincent saw me. His expression didn't change, but something flickered in his eyes. He ended the call, set the phone down. Come in, he said. I stepped inside. I didn't mean to interrupt. You didn't. He gestured to the chair across from his desk. Sit. I sat. He studied me for a long moment, like he was deciding something. There's a situation, he finally said. What kind of situation? The kind that doesn't concern you? Marcus follows me everywhere now. The estate has twice as much security. You're on the phone at all hours. I leaned forward. It concerns me. It shouldn't, but it does. My voice came out stronger than I felt. What's happening? He exhaled slowly, rubbed his temples. A rival organization knows you're here, he said, living under my roof. My stomach dropped. How? Does it matter? Yes. Someone talked, someone always talks. He met my eyes. They assume you're more than you are, that you matter to me. The words hung between us, heavy with implication. Do I asked quietly. That's not the point. It feels like the point. He stood, walked to the window, looked out at the darkened grounds. They're testing me, he said, seeing if I'll show weakness, if caring about someone makes me vulnerable. Does it? Yes. The honesty in that single word made my chest tighten. What do they want? I asked. Leverage, control, a way to force my hand. He turned back to face me. They won't get it. How can you be sure? Because I won't let them near you. The certainty in his voice should have been comforting, but all I felt was fear. Maybe I should leave, I said. Go somewhere else, somewhere they won't find me. They'll find you anywhere. He came closer. The only place you're safe is here, with me. With security, with guards, with me. He said it like an oath, like a promise carved in stone. I won't let them touch you. I stood, faced him. Why are you doing this? You know why. Say it. Silence stretched. He looked at me like I was asking for something he couldn't give. Because I'm responsible for you, he finally said. You're here because of me, under my protection. That means something. That's not what I'm asking. It's all I can give you right now. I wanted to push, wanted to demand the truth I could see hiding behind his eyes, but I didn't because I was afraid of what he might say, or worse, what he might not. The days that followed were suffocating. Marcus became my shadow. Everywhere I went, every move I made, the hospital, the estate grounds, even inside the house. Vincent was rarely home, and when he was, he avoided me. Not obviously, but I felt the distance, the deliberate space he kept between us, like he was trying to prove something. To me or to himself, I couldn't tell. I tried to focus on work, on organizing files and managing schedules, but my mind kept wandering to the threat I couldn't see, to the danger I couldn't understand, to Vincent, always to Vincent. It was 3 days later when I overheard the phone call. I was walking past his study. The door was cracked open. Vincent's voice carried into the hallway. She's not part of this. Sharp. Cold. The voice he used with people he didn't trust. She's nobody, an employee, nothing more. Silence. Someone responding on the other end. I don't care what you think you know. Touch her, and I'll end you. I'll end everyone you've ever cared about. I'll burn your entire operation to the ground. Another pause. This isn't negotiation, this is fact. Stay away from her. Or what comes next is on you. He ended the call. Something crashed, glass shattering. I stepped back from the door, heart pounding. She's nobody. The words shouldn't have hurt. I knew what he was doing, protecting me by making me seem insignificant. But they hurt anyway, because somewhere along the way, I'd started to hope I was more than nobody to him. That night, I couldn't sleep again. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying the phone call in my head. She's nobody. Touch her, and I'll end you. Two statements that contradicted each other, two truths that couldn't coexist unless Vincent was lying, to them or to himself. At midnight, I gave up, pulled on my robe, headed downstairs. The house was dark, but I knew the way to the garden by now. I pushed open the French doors, stepped onto the patio, and found Vincent already there. He stood by the fountain, hands in his pockets, staring at nothing. He didn't turn when I approached, but he spoke. You should be sleeping. So should you. I told you, I don't sleep much. I came to stand beside him, close enough to feel his presence, far enough to maintain the distance he seemed to need. I heard you on the phone earlier, I said. He tensed. How much did you hear? Enough. Silence. I was protecting you, he said quietly. I know. Then why do you sound angry? I'm not angry. I looked at him. I'm tired of being protected like I'm fragile, like I can't handle the truth. The truth is dangerous. So is lying. He finally turned to face me. His expression was unreadable in the moonlight. What do you want me to say? He asked. I want you to stop pretending I'm nobody. I wasn't pretending. I was lying to them, maybe to yourself. I took a breath. But not to me. Not anymore. Something shifted in his expression, the walls cracking just slightly. You're right, he said. You're not nobody. Then what am I? He looked at me like the answer was written in a language he couldn't speak. You're the reason I can't think straight, he finally said. The reason I take phone calls at midnight. The reason I've tripled security. The reason I'm making enemies I can't afford to make. My breath caught. You're the first person in 15 years who's made me want something other than power. His voice dropped lower. And that terrifies me. I stepped closer. Why? Because wanting something means you can lose it. Or you can keep it. Not in my world. Then change your world. He laughed, bitter, sad. It doesn't work that way. Why not? Because I've made choices, done things, become someone who can't just walk away. I'm not asking you to walk away. I'm asking you to stop pushing me away. He looked at me for a long moment, something warring behind his eyes. Then he reached out, cupped my face in his hand. His touch was gentle, warm, real. I'm trying to keep you safe, he whispered. I know. That means keeping distance between us. I don't want distance. What do you want? You, I said. Simple, true, terrifying. I want you. He inhaled sharply. His thumb brushed my cheek. You don't know what you're asking for, he said. Yes, I do. No, you don't. But he didn't pull away. You're asking for a man who's done terrible things, who will do terrible things again, who lives in shadows and survives by making others fear him. I'm asking for the man who saved my mother, who brought me coffee, who holds my hand in the dark. I covered his hand with mine. That's who I see. That's not all I am. I know, and I don't care. He closed his eyes, like he was in pain. You should care. But I don't. When he opened his eyes again, I saw it. The moment he stopped fighting. The moment he let himself want something he'd been denying. He pulled me closer, not roughly, carefully, like I might break. His forehead rested against mine, our breath mingling in the space between us. This is a mistake, he murmured. Probably. I can't protect you if I let you this close. Maybe I don't need protection from everything. You need protection from me. No, I whispered. I need protection with you, not from you. His arms wrapped around me then, held me against him, strong, steady, and for the first time since the threat started, I felt safe. Not because of the guards, not because of the security, because of him. We stood there in the dark, holding each other, not saying anything, because some things didn't need words. Some things just needed to exist. Eventually he pulled back, just enough to look at me. I have to handle this, he said. The threat, the people who think they can use you against me. How? In ways you don't want to know about. Will it end? Yes. Promise? He hesitated, then nodded. I promise. I believed him. Maybe I was foolish, maybe I was naive, but I believed him. He walked me back inside, all the way to my bedroom door, stood in the doorway, like he had before. But this time was different. This time, when he looked at me, I didn't see control. I saw want, need, fear. Lock your door, he said quietly. Why? Because if you don't, I might come back. Would that be so bad? He smiled, sad, real. Yes, because I won't want to leave. Then he turned and walked away, and I stood there, door open, heart pounding, wondering what came next, wondering if we'd survive it, but knowing somehow that whatever happened, we'd face it together, in the shadows, where we both belonged. The next 2 days were unbearable. Vincent was home more often, but he might as well have been on another continent. He'd pass me in hallways without meeting my eyes. Speak to me only when necessary, his voice professional, distant, like that night in the garden had never happened, like he hadn't held me, hadn't told me I was the reason he couldn't think straight, like he hadn't almost kissed me. I told myself it was for the best, that distance was safer, smarter, but it felt like drowning. Every glance I stole felt desperate. Every moment in the same room felt charged with electricity that had nowhere to go. I caught Elena watching me one afternoon, her expression knowing. "He's protecting you," she said quietly. "From what?" "From himself." She poured tea with steady hands. "He's done this before, pulled away from things that matter. It's easier than risking them." "That's not fair." "No, but it's survival." I wanted to argue, to say that survival wasn't the same as living, but I didn't have the energy. The tension followed me everywhere, to my office, to my room, to the moments between sleep and waking when I'd replay every word he'd ever said to me, every touch, every look, every promise he wouldn't let himself keep. It was Marcus who broke the pattern. He drove me to the hospital on Thursday. Same routine, same silence. But when we arrived, he didn't just wait in the parking lot, he followed me inside. "You don't need to do that," I said. "New protocols." "Since when?" "Since this morning." My stomach nodded. "What happened?" "Nothing. Yet." He scanned the lobby. "Let's keep it that way." My mother was in good spirits. The treatment was working, her color was better, her smile reached her eyes. She talked about the future, about things she wanted to do when she was stronger. Travel, garden, learn to paint. I listened and nodded and tried not to think about the guards standing outside her room. About the threats that circled closer every day. About Vincent, who was pulling away to keep me safe while I wanted nothing more than to pull him closer. "You seem distracted," my mother said. I forced a smile. "Just tired." "Is work okay? Your new employer treating you well?" "Yes, he's very fair." "Fair." She studied me. "That's an interesting word choice." "What do you mean?" "Most people say nice or demanding or difficult. You said fair." Her eyes softened, like you're trying to convince yourself of something. I looked away. "It's complicated." "Most things worth having are." "Mom, I'm not asking you to explain. I'm just saying I see something in your eyes, something I haven't seen in a long time." "What?" "Hope." She reached for my hand. "You've been surviving for so long. Maybe it's time to start living." Her words followed me all the way back to the estate. Start living, as if it were that simple, as if wanting something was enough to make it safe. The house was quiet when I arrived. Too quiet. Marcus walked me to the door. "Stay inside tonight." "Why? What's happening?" "Just stay inside." He left before I could ask more questions. I went to my office, tried to work, couldn't focus. The sun set, the house grew darker. At 8, Elena brought dinner to my room. "Vincent won't be joining you tonight." "Where is he?" "Handling business." "What kind of business?" She just shook her head. "Eat, rest, don't leave your room." Everyone was telling me to stay put, to hide, to wait, but I was so tired of waiting. At 10, I gave up on pretending I could sleep. I pulled on my robe and went downstairs. The house was dark except for dim security lights. I made my way to the gardens, the one place that felt like mine. The air was cool, the fountain murmured, stars scattered across the sky like broken glass. I sat on the patio edge, pulled my knees to my chest, and tried not to think about all the ways this could end badly. I don't know how long I sat there. Minutes, hours, But eventually, I heard footsteps. I turned. Vincent stood at the garden entrance, still dressed, shirt untucked, hair disheveled. He looked exhausted, and something else, relieved. "You're supposed to be in your room," he said. "So are you." He walked closer, stopped a few feet away, like he didn't trust himself to come nearer. "I thought I told you to stay inside," he said. "You didn't tell me anything. Everyone else did." "Because I asked them to." "Why?" He ran a hand through his hair. "Because tonight was dangerous, and I needed to know you were safe while I dealt with it." "Dealt with what?" "The people who think they can use you against me." His voice was flat, empty. "They're wrong now." Something cold slid down my spine. "What did you do?" "What I had to." "Vincent, don't ask me for details, please." He looked at me then, really looked, and I saw it. The weight, the cost. "Just know that it's over. They won't come near you again." I stood, walked to him, close enough to see the shadows under his eyes, the tension in his jaw. "Are you okay?" I asked. "I'm fine." "Liar." He almost smiled. "You're getting good at reading me. You're getting bad at hiding." Maybe I'm tired of hiding. The admission hung between us, raw, honest. "Then stop," I said. "It's not that simple." "Why not?" "Because every time I let someone close, they get hurt, or they leave, or they—" He stopped, swallowed hard. "I can't do that again." "Can't do what?" "Lose someone who matters." My heart cracked. "Vincent, you matter." He said it like a confession, like something he'd been holding back for too long. "You matter more than you should, more than is safe, more than I know how to handle." I reached for him, slowly, giving him time to pull away. He didn't. My hand found his, our fingers intertwined. "I'm not going anywhere," I said. "You don't know that." "Yes, I do. People say that, and then, I'm not people." I stepped closer. "I'm me, and I'm choosing to stay." He looked at our joined hands. "Why?" "Because I see you." I squeezed his fingers. "The parts you show the world, and the parts you hide. I see all of it, and I'm still here." "You shouldn't be." "But I am." He closed his eyes. "I don't know how to do this." "Do what?" "Let someone in, want something, be anything other than what I've built myself to be. So learn. What if I can't? Then we'll figure it out together." He opened his eyes, and I saw it. The exact moment he stopped fighting, the moment he let himself fall. He pulled me closer, not gently, desperately. His arms wrapped around me, held me tight, like I was the only thing keeping him grounded. I held him back, just as tightly, and for a moment we just stood there, breathing, existing, together. "I'm so tired," he whispered against my hair. "I know. I'm tired of fighting, of pretending, of keeping everyone at arm's length." "Then stop. It's not that easy." "Maybe it is. Maybe you just let yourself be tired. Be human. Be here." He pulled back, just enough to look at me. His hand came up, cupped my face, and this time he didn't pull away. "I don't deserve this," he said. "That's not your decision to make." "Whose decision is it?" "Mine." I covered his hand with mine. "And I've already made it." Something broke in his expression, something that had been holding him together for too long. He leaned in, forehead against mine, breath mingling. "This is a mistake," he murmured. "You keep saying that." "Because it's true." "I don't care." "You should." "But I don't." His thumb traced my cheekbone, gentle, reverent. "If I start this," he said quietly, "I won't be able to stop." "I'm not asking you to stop." "What are you asking for?" "You. All of you. The good, the bad, the parts you think are too broken to share." He closed his eyes. "You don't know what you're asking." "Yes, I do. I've done terrible things." "I know. I'll do terrible things again." "I know that too. And you still want this?" "I still want you." He made a sound, half laugh, half something else, something that sounded like surrender, And then he kissed me, not carefully, not gently, like he'd been starving and I was air. His mouth found mine with desperate need, his hands tangled in my hair. His body pressed against me like he couldn't get close enough. I kissed him back just as desperately. Months of tension, of glances, of wanting something we weren't supposed to want. All of it poured into that kiss. When we finally broke apart, we were both breathing hard. "This changes everything," he said. "I know. We can't go back." "I don't want to go back." He rested his forehead against mine. "I'm still dangerous." "I know. The world I live in, I know. You could get hurt. I'm already hurt. Every time you push me away, every time you pretend you don't care." I pulled back to look at him. "I'd rather be hurt standing beside you than safe standing alone." He studied my face like he was memorizing it. "You're remarkable," he said quietly. "I'm terrified." "Good. That means you understand the stakes." "Do you?" "Yes." He kissed me again, softer this time, slower. "And I'm choosing this anyway." We stood there for a long time, holding each other, trading kisses like promises. Eventually he pulled back. "You should go inside. Get some rest." "Will you come with me?" "If I come with you, I won't leave." "Good." He smiled, real, unguarded. "You're making this very difficult." "That's the plan." He kissed my forehead. "Go, before I change my mind about being noble." "I don't want you to be noble." "I know, that's the problem." I started toward the house, stopped, looked back. He was watching me, like I might disappear if he looked away. "Vincent?" "Yes?" "Thank you. For tonight. For handling it. For protecting me." "Always," he said, simple, certain. "I'll always protect you." I went inside, but I felt his eyes on me until I disappeared from view. And for the first time in months, I fell asleep without fear, because I wasn't alone anymore. Whatever came next, we'd face it together, in the shadows, in the light, in all the spaces between. Together. I woke to sunlight and the feeling that something had fundamentally shifted. Vincent and I hadn't defined what happened last night, hadn't labeled it or discussed what came next, but I felt it, in the air, in my chest, in the way my pulse quickened at the thought of seeing him. Everything had changed. I dressed quickly, made my way downstairs. Elena was in the kitchen, preparing breakfast. She looked at me and smiled. Actually smiled. "You look different," she said. "Do I?" "Lighter, like you're not carrying as much weight." I poured coffee. "Maybe I'm not." "Good." She set a plate in front of me. "You deserve to be happy." "Does he?" She paused. Considered. "Yes, though he'd never admit it." "Why not?" "Because happiness requires vulnerability, and vulnerability has always felt like weakness to him." She wiped her hands. "But maybe you'll change that." "I don't want to change him." "You won't. You'll just remind him who he was before the world made him hard." I thought about that as I ate, about the man I'd seen last night. Tired, honest, real. That was the Vincent I wanted, not the controlled mask, the person underneath. After breakfast, I went to my office, tried to focus on work, but my mind kept wandering, to his hands in my hair, his mouth on mine. The way he'd looked at me like I was something precious. My phone buzzed. A message from the hospital. "Your mother's follow-up appointment is today at 2. Dr. Reyes would like to see you both." I frowned. "Both? My mother and me?" I called the number. A receptionist answered. "This is about the appointment," I said. "The message said Dr. Reyes wants to see me and my mother?" "Yes, she'd like to discuss the treatment plan and some new options that have become available." "What kind of options?" "Dr. Reyes will explain everything. 2:00? "I'll be there." I hung up, stared at the phone. New options. What did that mean? Marcus drove me to the hospital at 1:30. Vincent hadn't appeared all morning. Part of me wondered if he was avoiding me, if last night had been too much. But I pushed the thought away. At the hospital, I found my mother in her room. She looked better every time I saw her. Color in her cheeks, energy in her eyes. Baby. She hugged me tight. I wasn't expecting you until tomorrow. Dr. Reyes called, said she wanted to meet with both of us. Did she say why? No. A nurse appeared. Dr. Reyes is ready for you. We followed her to a private office. Dr. Reyes sat behind a desk covered in files and medical journals. She stood when we entered, shook our hands. Please, sit, we did. Dr. Reyes folded her hands. I wanted to discuss your treatment plan, Mrs. Carter, and the extraordinary progress you've made. My mother smiled. I feel stronger every day. That's because you're receiving one of the most advanced treatment protocols available. Experimental, expensive, not covered by any insurance. My stomach dropped. I know the cost has been taken care of, my mother said carefully. My daughter's employer has been very generous. Dr. Reyes looked at me. Your employer. Something in her tone made my skin prickle. Yes, I said. And does your mother know who exactly is funding her care? Silence. My mother turned to me. What is she talking about? I couldn't breathe. Mom, the treatment your daughter arranged isn't available through normal channels, Dr. Reyes said gently. The medication alone costs hundreds of thousands. The specialists involved don't take regular patients. This level of care requires connections most people don't have. I don't understand, my mother said. Dr. Reyes pulled out a file, opened it. Your care is being provided through a private network, one that operates outside traditional medical systems. My hands went cold. What are you saying? My mother asked. I'm saying the man funding your treatment isn't just wealthy. He has access to resources that suggest involvement in unconventional business. My mother looked at me. What does she mean? I couldn't speak. Dr. Reyes continued, voice gentle but firm. I'm required by ethics to ensure my patients understand where their care is coming from. Mrs. Carter, the man paying for your treatment is Vincent Moretti. Does that name mean anything to you? My mother shook her head. He runs one of the largest private networks in the state. Officially, he's a businessman. Investments, real estate. But there are rumors, connections to organizations that operate outside the law. You're saying he's a criminal, my mother said flatly. Dr. Reyes hesitated. I'm saying the source of your care raises questions. My mother turned to me, her face pale. Is this true? I don't know what he is, I said quietly. Not exactly. But you know something. Yes. And you made a deal with him anyway. To save your life. Yes. Silence filled the room, heavy, suffocating. I need to speak with my daughter alone, my mother said. Dr. Reyes nodded. Of course, take all the time you need. She left. My mother stood, walked to the window, stared out at the parking lot. How long have you known? She asked. That he was dangerous? From the beginning. And you agreed anyway. You were dying, Mom. The hospital was going to stop your treatment. I was out of options. So you sold yourself to a criminal. The words hit like a slap. I didn't sell myself. I work for him, that's all. She turned. Is it? I looked away. Oh, honey, her voice cracked. What have you done? I saved your life. At what cost? Whatever it takes. She crossed the room, took my hands. I would rather die than have you sacrifice yourself for me. Don't say that. I mean it. You're 24 years old. You have your whole life ahead of you, and you've tied yourself to a man who... She stopped. What does he want from you? Nothing I'm not willing to give. That's not an answer. I met her eyes. I care about him. She inhaled sharply. No. Mom, you can't. He's dangerous. I know what he is, and I care about him anyway. She sat down heavily. This is my fault. I got sick, and you had to stop. I knelt in front of her. This isn't your fault, and I don't regret my choice. Even knowing what he is, even knowing, she looked at me for a long time. You're in love with him. I wanted to deny it, to say it was too soon, too complicated, but I couldn't lie, not to her. Yes, she closed her eyes. Oh, baby, I know it's not what you wanted for me. I wanted you safe, happy, free. She opened her eyes, tears tracked down her cheeks. Not trapped in some dangerous man's world. I'm not trapped. I chose this. Did you? Or did desperation choose for you? The question hit too close to home because she was right. I'd made my choice out of desperation, out of fear, but somewhere along the way it had become something else, something real. At first, yes, I admitted, but not anymore. What changed? I saw who he really is, under all the control and danger. I saw someone who's been hurt, who's lost people, who's built walls to survive. I stood. He's not just the dangerous parts, he's also the person who saved your life, who asks if I'm sleeping, who I stopped, couldn't finish. My mother wiped her eyes, who makes you feel seen. Yes, she sighed. I can't tell you what to do. You're an adult. You make your own choices. But I'm terrified for you, because men like that, they don't have happy endings. Maybe he's not looking for happy, maybe he's just looking for real. And if real gets you hurt, then at least I'll have felt something. She shook her head. When did you get so brave? When I had to save you. She pulled me into a hug, held me tight. Promise me something, she whispered. What? Promise me you'll be careful. That you'll protect yourself, that you won't lose who you are for him. I promise. And if it gets too dangerous, if he becomes more threat than salvation, you'll leave. I wanted to promise that too, but I couldn't. Because I already knew the truth. I wouldn't leave, not unless he made me. We stayed at the hospital for another hour. Dr. Reyes came back, assured us the treatment would continue, that my mother's prognosis was excellent, but the conversation had shifted something, made concrete what I'd been avoiding. Vincent wasn't just dangerous in abstract, he was dangerous in reality, and I'd chosen him anyway. Marcus drove me home in silence. The sun was setting when we arrived. The estate glowed in golden light. Vincent's car was in the drive. My heart raced. Inside, Elena met me at the door. He's in his study. He asked to see you when you returned. I walked down the familiar hallway, knocked on the study door. Come in. He stood by the window, still dressed from whatever he'd been doing all day. He turned when I entered, his expression unreadable. How's your mother? He asked. Good, strong. I closed the door behind me. Dr. Reyes wanted to talk to us. About? About you, about where her treatment is really coming from. His jaw tightened. What did she tell you? That you have resources normal people don't. That you operate outside traditional systems. I walked closer. That there are rumors about what you really do. And my mother asked me if I knew what I was getting into. What did you tell her? The truth, that I know you're dangerous, that I chose you anyway. He watched me carefully. She must be terrified. She is. She should be. Stop saying that. It's true. I closed the distance between us. Vincent, I need you to tell me something. What? The truth, all of it. I met his eyes. What do you really do? What organization do you run? What exactly have I become part of? Silence stretched. He looked at me like he was deciding, like this was a line we couldn't uncross. You want the truth? He finally said. Yes. Sit down. I sat. He poured 2 glasses of whiskey, handed me one, sat across from me. I run a network, he said. Import, export, investments, some legal, some not. Not legal, how? The kind that involves moving things across borders without paperwork. The kind that requires connections most people don't have. The kind that makes me powerful and makes me enemies. You're in organized crime. He didn't flinch. Yes. For how long? 15 years, since I was 18. By choice? At first, no, by necessity, by survival. He sipped his whiskey. But eventually, yes, by choice. Because I was good at it, because it gave me control over a life that had been out of control. I absorbed this, and my mother's treatment comes from connections I've built, doctors I've helped, resources I can access because of what I do. So I owe everything to crime. You owe everything to me making choices you probably hate. I look down at my glass. I should be horrified. But you're not. No. I met his eyes. Because you saved her. Whatever methods you used, whatever rules you broke, you saved her when no one else could. That doesn't make it right. Maybe not, but it makes it real. He set down his glass. You should leave. Take your mother somewhere safe. Start over. I'll give you enough money to... No. You don't understand what you're... I understand perfectly. I stood. You're not a good man. You've done terrible things. You'll probably do terrible things again. But helping me, saving my mother, that was the first clean choice you've made in years? He looked up at me, stunned. You said that yourself, I continued. That night in your study. You said helping me felt clean. It did. Then let it stay clean. Let this, I gestured between us, be clean, real, something that isn't stained by everything else. He stood, came to me. You're asking me to be two people, he said quietly. No, I'm asking you to be yourself, all of yourself, the parts you show the world and the parts you show me. I don't need you to be good. I just need you to be honest. I am being honest. I'm telling you to leave. And I'm telling you no. He cupped my face. You're stubborn. So are you. This won't end well. Maybe not, but it's real, and that's enough. He kissed me then, soft, slow, like he was trying to memorize the feeling. When he pulled back, his eyes were dark. I'm not a good man, he said again. I know. But with you, I want to be. Then be that, with me, just with me. He pulled me close, held me, and in that moment, I knew the truth. I wasn't just in his debt. I wasn't just in his world. I was in his heart, and he was in mine. Whatever came next, whatever darkness waited outside these walls, we'd face it together, in the shadows, in the light, together. The call came at 3 a.m, my phone vibrating on the nightstand, loud in the silent room. I grabbed it, fumbled, answered. Hello? This is St. Catherine's Hospital. A woman's voice, professional but urgent. We're calling about your mother. My heart stopped. What happened? There's been an incident. She's safe, but we need you to come immediately. What kind of incident? Security will explain when you arrive. Please, hurry. The line went dead. I was already moving, throwing on clothes, not thinking, just moving. I ran into the hallway. Vincent's door opened before I reached it. He stepped out, fully dressed, like he'd been waiting. I heard your phone, he said. It's my mother. Something happened at the hospital. His expression hardened. Get your things. We leave in 2 minutes. He disappeared down the hallway, barking orders into his phone. Marcus was already in the car when we got downstairs. Engine running, Vincent got in beside me, his jaw tight, his eyes dark. What's happening? I asked. I don't know yet, but I could see it in his face. He knew something, or suspected. We drove too fast. Through empty streets, past traffic lights that turned green at exactly the right moments, like the world was bending to Vincent's will. At the hospital, security met us at the entrance. Not the usual guards, men in suits, earpieces, tense. Mr. Moretti, one of them said, this way. We followed them through corridors I'd never seen before, past locked doors, downstairs, to a basement level. My mother sat in a small office, a blanket around her shoulders, a security officer beside her. She looked up when I entered. Relief flooded her face. Mom, I rushed to her. Are you okay? What happened? I'm fine, baby. I'm fine. But her hands were shaking. Vincent spoke to the security officer in low tones. I caught fragments. Breach, third floor. 2 men, intercepted before. My blood ran cold. I looked at Vincent. Someone tried to get to her. He didn't deny it. The security officer left. Vincent closed the door. Tell me everything, he said to my mother, voice calm but sharp. She pulled the blanket tighter. I was sleeping. Around 2:30, I woke up to shouting in the hallway. Security was moving patients. They came to my room, said there was a situation, that I needed to come with them. Did you see anyone? Hear anything specific? No. They moved me quickly, down here. She looked at me. They wouldn't tell me what was happening, just that I was safe. Vincent's phone rang. He answered, listened. His expression grew darker. Understood. Keep her room locked. No one goes in or out. He hung up. What's happening? I demanded. Someone tried to access your mother's floor. 2 men, not hospital staff. They were stopped before they reached her room. My legs went weak. Who? People who think hurting her will hurt me. Why would hurting her... I stopped. Understood. Because of me. Yes. My mother stood. I don't understand. Why would anyone target me? Vincent looked at me, a question in his eyes. I hadn't told her everything, hadn't explained the full extent of the danger, because I mattered to him, I said quietly, and people know that now. My mother's face went pale. This is because of you? She said to Vincent. Yes. You brought danger to my daughter, and now to me. Yes. And what are you going to do about it? End it. The certainty in his voice was absolute, final. My mother studied him. How? In ways you don't want to know about. That's not good enough. It's all I can offer. They stared at each other. 2 people who loved me, at odds over how to keep me safe. Finally, my mother spoke. I want her away from this, away from you. Mom, no. She turned to me. This has gone too far. You can't stay with him. Not when people are trying to hurt you. Hurt me. To get to him. She's safer with me than anywhere else, Vincent said. She's only in danger because of you. That may be true, but the danger exists now, whether she stays or leaves. Then we both leave. We disappear. You give us money like you offered, and we start over somewhere far from here. Vincent looked at me. Is that what you want? I couldn't answer, because I didn't know. Part of me wanted exactly that. To run, to disappear, to go back to a life that was hard but uncomplicated, but another part. She's not answering, my mother said, because she can't, because you've made her dependent on you, made her think she needs you. I've never made her think anything, Vincent said quietly. She's made her own choices. Under duress, under pressure, that's not real choice. Mom, stop, I said. No, I won't stop. Not when I see what this is doing to you. You don't understand. I understand perfectly. You think you love him. You think this is romance. But it's not. It's danger dressed up as protection. It's control dressed up as care. That's not fair. Isn't it? She looked at Vincent. Tell her the truth. That staying with you will only bring her more danger. That loving you is a death sentence. Vincent's expression didn't change, but something flickered in his eyes. She's right, he said. My heart stuttered. What? Your mother is right. Staying with me will bring you danger. Loving me. He stopped. It's not safe. It never will be. I don't care about safe. You should. But I don't. My mother made a frustrated sound. You're both insane. Vincent pulled out his phone, made a call. Arrange transport, he said. 2 people, high security, out of state, new identities if necessary. What are you doing? I asked. What I should have done weeks ago, getting you both out. No, this isn't negotiable. Yes, it is. I stood, faced him. You don't get to make this decision for me. Someone has to. Not you, not about this. His jaw tightened. I'm trying to protect you. By sending me away. Yes. That's not protection, that's abandonment. It's survival. I don't want to just survive. I want to live. You can't live if you're dead. The words hit like ice water. My mother stood. He's right, honey. We need to leave. Tonight. Before something worse happens. I looked between them. Two people who loved me. Both trying to save me. Both asking me to give up the one thing I couldn't give up. Him. I need to think, I said. There's no time to think, Vincent said. The transport leaves in 2 hours. Then I have 2 hours. I walked out of the room into the hallway, past security, past nurses. I found a stairwell, climbed to the roof. The city spread out before me, lights like stars, cold air biting my skin. I tried to breathe, tried to think, but all I could feel was my world splitting apart. My mother, safe, asking me to choose her, to choose safety. Vincent, dangerous, pushing me away to protect me, and me, in the middle, loving both, wanting both, knowing I couldn't have both. The door opened behind me. Vincent stepped onto the roof, alone. You shouldn't be up here, he said. Neither should you. He came to stand beside me, close but not touching. Your mother is right, he said quietly. You should leave. Is that what you want? It's what's best. That's not what I asked. Silence. No, he finally said. It's not what I want. Then why are you pushing me away? Because wanting you isn't enough. Because every day you stay, you're in more danger. Because eventually my enemies will find a way to use you against me. And I can't... His voice cracked. I can't watch you get hurt because of me. I turned to face him. What if I'm willing to take that risk? I'm not. That's not your choice to make. Yes, it is. Because I'm the one who brought this into your life. I'm the one who made you a target. You're also the one who saved my mother, who gave me a place to belong, who made me feel like I mattered. You do matter. That's the problem. How is that a problem? Because mattering to me makes you vulnerable, makes you a weakness. He looked at me then, really looked. I've spent 15 years making sure I had no weaknesses, and then you walked into that restaurant and destroyed everything I built. I'm sorry. Don't be. It's not your fault. He stepped back. But I can't let this continue. I can't watch you suffer because of choices I made before I ever met you. So you're sending me away. Yes, without asking what I want. Because what you want doesn't matter if it gets you killed. The words should have sounded harsh, cold, but they sounded broken. What if I told you I'm not leaving, I said? Then I'd have you removed by force. You wouldn't. I would. To save your life, I'd do anything. I believed him. That was the worst part. I believed him. I love you, I said, the words tumbling out before I could stop them. I know it's too soon. I know it's stupid. But I love you. And you're asking me to leave anyway. He closed his eyes. Don't. Don't what? Don't love you? Too late. Don't make this harder than it already is. It should be hard because it matters. He opened his eyes, and I saw it. The pain, the want, the terrible choice he was making. I love you too, he said. That's why you have to go. Tears burned my eyes. That doesn't make sense. Yes, it does, because loving you means keeping you alive, even if it means losing you. That's not love. That's cowardice. Maybe, but it's all I have. He turned, walked toward the door. Vincent, he stopped, didn't turn around. If you make me leave, I said, I'll hate you. I can live with that, as long as you live. Then he was gone, and I stood alone on the roof, cold wind cutting through me, knowing he was right, knowing I should leave, but knowing I wouldn't, because loving him wasn't something I could turn off, wasn't something I could walk away from, even if it killed me. I went back downstairs, found my mother still in the office. She looked up hopefully. Have you decided? Yes. You're leaving? No. Her face fell. Honey, I'm staying. You should go. Let Vincent arrange protection for you somewhere safe. But I'm staying. You can't. I can, and I am. Why? Because I love him, and because running won't change that. She started to cry. You're going to get yourself killed. Maybe, but at least I'll have lived first. She pulled me into a hug, held me tight. You're so stubborn, she whispered. I learned from the best. She pulled back, looked at me, promised me something. What? Promise me that if it gets too dangerous, if he can't protect you, you'll run. You'll save yourself. I wanted to promise, wanted to give her that peace, but I couldn't lie. I promise I'll try, I said. It was the best I could offer. And from the look in her eyes, she knew it wasn't enough, but she accepted it anyway, because sometimes love means letting go, even when every instinct screams to hold tighter. Vincent. Arranged transport for my mother that night, a secure location upstate. New name, new identity. I said goodbye in a basement parking garage, surrounded by guards. I'll call when I can, she said. I love you, Mom. I love you too, baby, so much. She got in the car, and I watched it drive away, taking the last piece of my old life with it. Vincent stood beside me, silent. She's safe now, he said. And me? You're staying against my better judgment. Yes. Then we do this my way. No arguments, no exceptions. What does that mean? He looked at me, and I saw it. The walls going back up, the distance returning. It means I protect you, but I can't love you, not the way you want. Why not? Because love makes me weak, and I need to be strong to end this. And what? The threat. The people who think they can use you against me? How? However, I have to. And I knew then, knew what he was going to do. Something terrible, something final, something that would change him forever. Vincent, don't ask, don't question, just trust me. I do trust you. Then let me do what I do best. He walked away, and I stood there in the empty garage, knowing everything had changed, knowing it was about to get worse, but staying anyway, because love isn't always safe. Sometimes it's just necessary, even when it burns. 3 days passed in suffocating silence. Vincent was gone, not physically. He was in the house, in meetings, on phone calls, moving through rooms like a shadow. But he was gone from me. He didn't come to my office, didn't seek me out. When we passed in hallways, he looked through me like I was glass, like I didn't exist. Elena brought me meals I barely touched. He's protecting you, she said quietly one evening. By pretending I don't exist? By making sure no one thinks you matter to him anymore. But I do matter. I know. So does he. That's why he's doing this. I wanted to scream, to break something, to force him to look at me. But I didn't, because I understood. In some terrible way, I understood. He was erasing me from his world to keep me safe in it. On the 4th day, everything changed. I woke to silence, the kind that felt heavy, wrong. I got dressed, went downstairs. The house was emptier than usual, only Elena in the kitchen. Where is everyone? I asked. Handling business. What kind of business? She didn't answer, just poured coffee with shaking hands. Elena, what's happening? I don't know, and if I did, I couldn't tell you. Is Vincent? He's fine, for now. She looked at me. Stay inside today. Don't go near the windows. Don't answer the door. You're scaring me. Good. You should be scared. She left the kitchen, and I stood there, heart pounding, knowing something was ending. One way or another, the day crawled by. I tried to work, couldn't focus, tried to read, couldn't concentrate, just paced, waited, listened for sounds that never came. At 6, Marcus appeared. Come with me. Where? He wants to see you. My heart leapt. Where is he? Downstairs, the secure room. I'd never been to the secure room, didn't know it existed. Marcus led me through the house. Downstairs I'd never taken. Through a door that required 3 different keys. Into a room with concrete walls and no windows. Vincent sat at a table, still in the same clothes from 3 days ago. Exhausted, but alive. He looked up when I entered, and for the first time in days, he really saw me. "Leave us," he said to Marcus. Marcus left. The door closed with a heavy click. "Are you okay?" I asked. "Yes." "What happened?" "It's done." "What's done?" He stood, walked to me, stopped just out of reach. "The threat, the people who wanted to use you against me, they won't be a problem anymore." Relief flooded through me. "How?" "I told you, in ways you don't want to know about." "Did you—" I couldn't finish the question. "Did I make choices I'll regret?" He looked at me steadily. "Yes, but not as much as I'd regret losing you." "Vincent, it's over, really over. Your mother is safe. You're safe. No one will come after either of you again. And the cost doesn't matter. It matters to me." "I know." He finally closed the distance, took my hands. "I know it does. That's one of the things I love about you. You care about the cost, even when it saves you. You said you couldn't love me, not the way I wanted." I lied. "Why?" "Because I needed to be cold, focused. I needed to do things that required me to shut everything else out." His thumbs traced circles on my palms, including you, especially you. "And now? Now it's done, and I don't have to be cold anymore." I looked up at him, saw the exhaustion, the weight, the things he'd done that he'd never tell me about. "Are you okay?" I asked again. "I will be, eventually." He pulled me closer. "Especially if you stay." "I already told you I'm not leaving." "I know, but after everything, after what I've put you through, I need to hear you say it again." "I'm staying, Vincent, for as long as you'll have me." "What if that's forever?" My breath caught. "Is that what you want?" "Yes." "Even though it's dangerous, even though my world is whatever I make it, and I want you in it." He cupped my face. "Not as an employee, not as someone I'm protecting, as someone I love, someone I choose every day." Tears burned my eyes. "You're sure?" "I've never been more sure of anything." He kissed me then, not desperately like before, but slowly, deliberately, like a promise. When we pulled apart, I was crying. "What's wrong?" he asked. "Nothing, everything, I don't know." I laughed through tears. "I just can't believe this is real." "It's real, all of it. Even the dark parts, especially the dark parts." He wiped my tears with his thumbs. "I can't promise you easy. I can't promise you safe, but I can promise you real, and I can promise you that I'll fight for this, for us, every single day. That's all I want." "Are you sure?" "Because there's still time to run, to take the money I promised and start over somewhere far from here." "I don't want to run." "Why not?" "Because running means being alone, and I've been alone long enough." He rested his forehead against mine. "So have I." We stood there for a long time, just breathing, just being. Eventually he pulled back. "Come with me. I want to show you something." He led me out of the secure room, upstairs, through the house, to his study. He opened a drawer in his desk, pulled out a folder. "What's this?" I asked. "Your mother's medical records, updated as of this morning." I opened the folder, scanned the pages. "She's in full remission," I said, voice shaking. "Yes." "How is that possible? It's only been—" "The treatment worked better than expected. Dr. Reyes called it miraculous." I looked up at him. "You did this." "I helped. But your mother did the fighting." "Where is she now?" "Recovery facility upstate, under her new name. She'll stay there for another month. Then she can go wherever she wants, do whatever she wants. He paused. She'll have enough money to live comfortably for the rest of her life. Vincent, I don't know how to. You don't have to thank me. Yes, I do. You saved her life. You gave me back my mother. I gave you what you needed. That's what you do when you love someone. I set down the folder. What happens now? Now? He considered. Now we figure out what this looks like. You and me, in the real world. What do you want it to look like? I want you here, in this house, not as my employee, as he stopped. I don't know what to call it. How about partner? Partner. He tested the word, smiled slightly. I like that. So do I. He pulled me close. There are things you need to know about what I do, about the organization I run. I can't hide it from you anymore. I don't want you to hide it. Even if it's ugly? Especially if it's ugly. I want all of you, Vincent, not just the parts you think are acceptable. He studied my face. You mean that? Yes. Then I'll tell you everything, but not tonight. He kissed my forehead. Tonight, I just want to be with you. No threats, no danger, just us. I like that. We went upstairs, to his room, not mine. He'd never brought me here before. It was surprisingly simple. Clean lines, minimal furniture, windows overlooking the gardens. I imagined this would be different, I said. What did you imagine? I don't know, something more excessive. I have excessive things, they just don't matter. He came up behind me, wrapped his arms around my waist. The only thing that matters is right here. I leaned back against him. I love you. I love you too. He tightened his hold. And I promise you, whatever comes next, we face it together. In the shadows? In the shadows, in the light, wherever it leads. I turned in his arms, looked up at him, and for the first time since I'd met him, I saw something other than control. I saw peace. Thank you, I whispered. For what? For choosing me, even when it was hard, even when it was dangerous. I didn't choose you because it was easy. I chose you because not choosing you was impossible. He kissed me again, deeper this time, fuller, and I kissed him back with everything I had. Because this was real, this was us. This was the beginning of something I didn't fully understand, but wanted desperately to discover. Later, lying in his bed, wrapped in his arms, I thought about how far I'd come. From a waitress working 3 jobs to save her dying mother, to a woman lying beside a dangerous man who'd saved us both. It wasn't the life I'd imagined, wasn't the fairy tale I'd been told to want, but it was mine. Real, messy, complicated, beautiful, mine. What are you thinking? Vincent asked, voice drowsy, that I should be terrified. But you're not. No, I'm home. He pulled me closer. Yeah, you are. And for the first time in longer than I could remember, I fell asleep without fear, without worry, without the weight of impossible choices pressing down on me. I just slept, safe, loved, whole. The next morning, I woke to sunlight streaming through the windows. Vincent was already awake, sitting by the window, coffee in hand, looking out at the gardens. Morning, I said. He turned, smiled, a real smile, not the controlled mask. Morning. You're up early. Old habits. I got up, wrapped the sheet around me, went to sit beside him. What are you thinking about? I asked. The future. What about it? I want to give you a choice, he said. A real one, not made out of desperation or fear. What kind of choice? You can stay here with me, in this world, knowing what I am and what I do. Or I can set you up somewhere safe, give you money, resources, a clean break. You'd never have to see me again. I stared at him. You're serious? Yes. After everything, after last night, you're still offering me a way out? Because I love you, and love means giving you choices, real ones. I set down my coffee, took his hand. I choose you, I said, not because I have to, not because I'm desperate, because I want to, because you're worth the risk. You're sure? I've never been more sure of anything. He pulled me into his lap, held me close. Then I'm going to spend every day proving you made the right choice. He said, You already have. He kissed the top of my head. This won't be easy. I know. There will be days when you question this, question me. I know that too. And you still want this? More than anything. He was quiet for a moment, then, There's something else I need to tell you. What? I'm going to change things, the organization, the way I operate. I can't walk away completely, that's not realistic, but I can make it cleaner, less dangerous. Why? Because I have something to lose now, someone to come home to, and I'm tired of living like every day might be my last. That sounds like a big change. It is, and it won't happen overnight, but I want to try. For you, for us. I pulled back to look at him. For you too. You deserve to live, Vincent, not just survive. I'm starting to believe that. Because of you. Good. He smiled. How did I get so lucky? You answered a desperate call from a waitress who had nowhere else to turn. Best decision I ever made. Even though it complicated everything, especially because it complicated everything. He kissed me softly. You gave me a reason to want more than power, more than control. You gave me a reason to want a life. Tears pricked my eyes. We're going to be okay, aren't we? Yeah, we are. And I believed him, not because the danger was gone, not because the world had suddenly become safe, but because we had each other. And sometimes that's enough. Sometimes love isn't about perfect circumstances or easy choices. Sometimes it's about finding someone in the dark and deciding to hold on, no matter what comes next. We stayed there by the window, watching the sun rise higher, drinking coffee, planning a future that was uncertain but ours. And for the first time in my life, I wasn't afraid of uncertainty because I wasn't facing it alone. I had him. He had me. And together, we'd figure out the rest, in the shadows, in the light, in all the spaces between. Together, always together. That was enough. That was everything.